So if you don't take action, you're just adding time to the whole thing, and it's just going to take you longer. And so you really got to just start taking action. And you learn from your mistakes, and so you might as well make those mistakes early instead of waiting for it to be perfect.
Welcome to the How to Scale Commercial Real Estate Show. Whether you are an active or passive investor, we'll teach you how to scale your real estate investing business into something big.
Kevin Jenkins is an anesthesiologist that has a goal of offering the average investor opportunities that are often not available to them. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Sam.
Hey, the pleasure's mine. Kevin, there are 3 questions I ask every guest who comes on the show in 90 seconds or less. Can you tell me, where did you start? Where are you now? And how did you get there?
So for me, it started off when I was a child. My sister and I were the make-ready team for my parents' real estate properties. They had about 33 some odd units as a kid growing up. And I saw the value that it added in our family, being that I was the paper boy for our entire neighborhood. And being in and out of people's homes, I knew we were living differently than everyone else was. And so I knew as soon as I got my own money that I was going to start doing the same thing. My parents kind of created a roadmap for us. I was going to do the same thing. So once I got out of school, about a 4-family unit, and then figured that was too small. But I used that to pay off some student loans, and then moved into a 79 unit. And then just operated that property and scaled up from there.
That's fantastic. You went ahead, though, and went obviously all the way through to become an anesthesiologist. And at the same time, we're building your real estate portfolio?
Yes, that's correct.
Wow, that's awesome. That's an unusual dual track. I think most of the physicians and people I talk to, they wake up, 20 years later and they're like, oh my gosh, we're making great money, but we're killing ourselves doing it. There's got to be a better way. You kind of knew out of the gate that, hey, I'm going to do these both simultaneously. What was your thinking behind that?
Well, my parents are kind of entrepreneurial. And again, I saw the benefits. So like as the paper boy, I lived on a modest street. And I had over 100 customers. And from 2nd grade all the way up to 8th grade, I was in and out of people's homes. And I knew how they lived, and I knew what they did and did not do, and where they struggled. And I knew we weren't having the same issues and same problems. And so I consumed a lot of content growing up, whether it was on TV or in books. And I was kind of a bookworm, also as a computer nerd, but I consumed a lot of content and I watched what people said and did. And, for me, I just knew what I wanted. And it was just to emulate what my parents had offered to my sister and I, and which was a means to make income outside of your W-2.
Right. Absolutely. Tell me what your business looks like today.
So like we said, pre-show, my trajectory was 479, was very profitable with the 79 unit because it was also commercial. That allowed me to scale up, and through collaboration, we went from 79, 124, 202, and soon to be 200 units under our general partnership arrangement. And then also from that 79, I was going to have a huge capital gain tax. So I reached out to some friends and got into their deals. And so between the general partnership and the limited partnerships, we'll have over 4,000 units. So
that's awesome.
But 500 units under the general partnership.
Right. No, I think that's fantastic. I mean, to be able to, pull off owning 500 units as a general partner and then also be a full-time anesthesiologist, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, you said you worked all night long just before jumping on this call.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That's pretty ambitious.
If your why is big enough, you'll figure out and make a way. And my why has always been big enough. And really my why is, time freedom, right? At some point, you make great income, but you don't have enough time. And prior to that, you have a lot of time, but not enough income. Right. So, it's where, whatever you make your priority, that's where you'll put your focus.
without putting numbers to it, what is the roadmap for you? How do you how do you get to that time and money freedom kind of intersection?
Yeah, I'm still kind of working with that in my head. I keep telling a lot of the guys where I work, I say, hey, in 5 years, I'm cutting out of here. It actually might be, I might go down to part-time, right? In 5 years, just because you got that first flow, right? Your first flow of income, and I just want to put something on top, and then maybe another unit on top, and another unit on top, and that's right now. That's my plan. That's my current plan, and if it works, it works. If not, who knows? You can't.
Right.
Once when you speak to people who have retired, and I'm speaking of older people, they get bored. You can only drink so many umbrella drinks or play so much golf. So you got to find something productive to do with your time.
Right.
And so, I try to help a lot of other physicians with that process. And really anyone who'd like to listen to me, because the younger person who runs into a lot of money, they run the risk of running out of money if it's all from like a W-2 income.
Right.
The older person runs the risk of outliving their money. And so you got to find a way to figure out how to make that money that doesn't always involve you, clocking in and working. So.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's where I could come in and kind of offer an opportunity.
Sure. What's that conversation like with your colleagues? I mean, certainly, and I asked this probably to a lot of the physicians that have come on the show, and it's always a different answer, but what's that like when they're like, hang on, Kevin, you're buying apartment complexes?
Yeah. There are people who get it, and then there are the people who don't get it. So it's two schools of conversations. The first conversation, I'll go with the negative conversation, and which is, oh, how's it being a landlord? And that's the person that's watching CNBC all day, also complaining about the market and the value of their portfolio going down, right? And they just haven't figured it out. I have a proof of concept that I show them, and they see it, and then they're kind of shocked, and that kind of opens the door for some education and explaining on how I achieved what I achieved. And those people just don't know, right? They just don't know. So you just got to explain it to them. And then the other group, they get it. And it's really like, there's no education at all. It's like, oh man, I'm so glad I ran into you. I was wondering how to do it. I was trying to figure out how to do it. I was thinking about getting into a REIT. Then there's the education on that part. And like saying, hey, it's really a kind of like a stock. You can get in and out of it, and you don't have any transparency, and you just don't get all the benefits. So I'll tell them what I'm doing, and depending on how it gets presented, I choose which way I'm going to go. So.
Right. No, I love that. I think it's a cool void that you fill. I mean, I was in the doctor's office yesterday, and he asked me that question, like, hey, what do you do? And I'm like, we buy, everything from multifamily assets to self-storage. Right now we're buying RV resorts. He's like, oh, that's cool. My son does that too. And then to come off, find out his son, which is fine. It's a great place to start. It's where I kind of cut my teeth, was wholesaling houses. I'm like, well, it's close. It's close. And that was kind of the end of the conversation. But so it's always with where you are, you can obviously get in and really help people understand it in a unique way, what it is you do and how you do it. So I think that's really cool and a valuable need and problem that you're solving there for your colleagues. What are some strategies that you feel like you've used to take you to where you are today?
The one is planning. One is for really developing the why. If you don't have a strong why, it's not going to drive you to get through the tough times. And then the other is surrounding yourself with like-minded people. Not that like misery loves company, but it allows you to bounce some things off of peers, right? And so that's always helpful, because you can do it by yourself and learn as you go. but it may take you longer. I bounced some things off my parents, mostly from an operational standpoint, and but then I'll bounce some things off some peers that are further ahead than me, who have far more units, and they'll just tell me like, hey, you might want to consider a few things. So a strong why, and then some peers, or it's where you can collaborate with others. And then just being in the moment. What I like to tell people who are just getting started is that, you can read all you want in a book about how to ride a bicycle, but you don't really learn how to ride a bike until you get on it. Right. And so if you don't take action, you're just adding time to the whole thing, and it's just going to take you longer. And so you really got to just start taking action, and, you learn from your mistakes. And so you might as well make those mistakes early instead of waiting for it to be perfect. I tell a lot of people, Microsoft, Apple, all these big companies, they put their product out and it's not completely ready.
Right.
That's why you have to, do all the uploads. It's not ready. It's not perfect. You just can't wait. So you just go ahead and make your errors early and move on and learn early.
I'd love to hear what those are, but before we do, I think, and I'm probably butchering this comment, but it was something like "perfect is the enemy of good enough," or something along those lines, where it's like it's never going to be completely ready to go. So just go do it. What do you feel like some of those mistakes were that you made early on that you could help our listeners avoid, if possible?
Okay, yeah. So for me, one of my first initial mistakes was hiring the wrong management company, right? One of the management companies I hired ended up being a company of one. So what that really means is the property was too large for them. They didn't have really good systems or processes in place. And, I kind of discovered that, I wouldn't say too late, but, I could have done it better. The other thing that I learned was demographics matter. One of the properties, we were trying to change the tenants of the building, right? Because we wanted to be best in class in the area and best in class service. And to me, customer service is everything, right? Because regardless of your price point, whether you're low, middle, or high income, everybody wants something great. And so, and everybody wants great customer service. And if you can be best in class, regardless of where you are on that demographic line, you will get more tenants or customers or whatever. You'll get them regardless. And you can drive your income up. So I like to call a win-win and win, whether it's I'm creating a win for the residents, a win for my investors, or a win for me, right? If I can figure out how to get what you want, I can certainly get what I want. And so that's my goal. And so demographics are important. When I bought, I won't say the wrong area, but in an area that had a lower median household income, we had to see to get over that hump. We had to see 60 people just to get one qualified tenant, right? And so that number goes way down as you consider a higher median income. You just got to be prepared for it.
Right. So right, and for the right people with the right systems in place, I've got plenty of friends in the business who own and operate C and D class, even apartment communities, and they're doing great with it.
Yeah, if you're ready for it.
You're ready for it? Yeah, absolutely. But demographics do matter. It's funny, I was reviewing a deal yesterday, and it took just a curse. Somebody sent actually my brother sent it to me. Said, "Hey man, look at this. This is a cool apartment complex in XYZ town." I'm like, no. I just took a quick look at the rent roll. I looked at who's paying what and where, and I'm just like, no, like this is outside of my skill set. It's not that these people don't deserve to be served. It's just not the skill set I possess. Sorry.
Yeah. And so that goes back to like having the right people on your team, and in the right seat. So
how have you built that team? What have you done to get the right people in the right seat?
So one of the things I like to do, we'll start. So you can get the property, right? The management company is the most important piece. If you're not going to be doing the management yourself, then the management company is the most important piece. I like to go to the IREM website, the Institute of Real Estate Management website. And I like to look for an accredited management organization. it is a piece of paper, but for the management company. But to me, it lets me know that they have all the people and the processes in place. It helps me avoid that one man show. And yeah, they may not be perfect initially, but at least it's a starting point for me to go explore what other management opportunities might be out there. I'm also going to use the word of mouth, and I'm also going to interview other companies. But for me, that's the starting point. And if there aren't any of those types of places or organizations available in a certain area, I'm very slow to invest in that particular area, because if anything, I want one of those to be the backup to what people have suggested is a good company to go with. So.
Got it. You'll use the Institute of Real Estate Management website. So say you presented a deal and other people said, hey, here's some management companies in the area we should look at. You said, all right, well, I'm going to use this as a backup to review, check the companies maybe they're suggesting, and or bring alternatives to the table if needed.
Yeah, because you're going to need a backup. Just if the other company does not work out, you need a backup. But if there's no backup, you might have just lost your capital.
Right. Yeah, I think you hit it on the head, because you said the management company is the most important piece of the puzzle if you're not self-managing. Yeah,
because it's no different than saying, hey, I'm gonna give you, I don't know, $5 million in this briefcase. Hold on to it. Oh yeah, by the way, I want it to be 80% better than when we started in a couple of years. Yeah, right.
Right. That's a great way to put it, because that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah,
and it oftentimes it's much bigger numbers even than that, where it's go be a good steward of this, and if they're not prepared, then well, you know what's going to happen.
Well, yeah, I was going to say 20 million, but I think that might be kind of tough to stick in a briefcase.
I don't know. I've never tried. I'd like to someday. That'd be fun.
It's all part of the planning.
Absolutely. What? Tell me about a time, and we talked about this a little bit about mistakes early on. But has there been anything in your real estate journey that you would classify as a failure? And if so, was there anything that you learned from it?
No failures. They're all, even if it was a bad idea, there was a time to learn, right? Fail fast, fail quick, get over it, learn, and course correct.
Absolutely. Tell me about something you feel like you've done really well that other people should emulate.
Everybody wants the rewards of self-ownership, of like owning it yourself, right? And it's great. But for me, in my family, it's through team building, collaboration. You can go faster, quicker, and it's much more enjoyable because not all of the stress is just on you. And if you want, you can kind of pick a niche where you can kind of operate in. I think for me, it's a better way to go. People will often ask, like, if we're doing, like, if I'm coming together with a team to take down a property, they'll ask, well, hey, what are you good at? Or what do you want to do? I say, well, I owned 79 units by myself once. I had to do it all by myself.
Right.
I'll do what most people don't want to do, or I'll just find something to do. I say, you can pick whatever you want, and then I'll just kind of find something to improve. So case in point, I was brought in on a deal late. And so everybody has their responsibilities. And so I was just going to find something to do. Well, in my last deal, I negotiated the cable contract. Like the deal by myself. And I said, you know what, you guys there's an expiring cable contract. Let me explore that. And we just inked the contract a couple of weeks ago, and it's going to be an additional $1.3 million for our investors. That wasn't included in the underwriting. No one else knows about it except for me and the general partners. And I got all kind of hyped up, kind of like getting ready for a football game. And I'm trying to restrain myself right now in this video, but I was very amped up, to say the least. And, it was a good win. So
Absolutely, that's a huge win. That's a huge win. Oh my gosh, we did something like that on a property last year. It was about $100,000 deal like that, where it wasn't in the projections to renegotiate some contracts like that, and I worked on those, and I felt pretty good about that. But man, it's
a win, right? It's a score.
It's a score, right? It's moving the needle in the right direction when you didn't anticipate it. So that's absolutely awesome. Good, well done. And you guys get to add that to the bottom. I mean, to the bottom line.
Well, it's going to take like 2 years, right? Because you can't just jack everyone's rent up, or just say, hey, we got a new deal. This is it. Swallow it. You can't just say that, right? So I think it's going to take about two years for us to cycle through it and capture that dollar figure. So
crossover,
maybe 3 years.
That's awesome. Well done, by the way. Even 1.3 million over 3 years is still over $400,000 a year. So that's well done. Question for you is this: common skills. What are some crossover or what are some common skills you find between anesthesiology and real estate investing that you feel like are really important to what you do?
Problem solving, and developing contingency plans. Because in anesthesia, things can be going smoothly, and then all of a sudden there's a hiccup, and you got to problem solve quickly to figure out what the problem is. In real estate, it's a slow moving ball, and so it doesn't happen as quick as things in my daily work environment. So that's one, and the other one is working with other people, because when you're doing anesthesia, or actually we're just working in an operating room environment. You're working with nurses, you're working with techs, you're working with surgeons, and we all kind of come together to get the patient in and out of the hospital, right? And so it's a team approach, and you got to be able to work well with people, and deal with some people who don't work well with people, and to me that's the same thing as far as if you're doing investing in real estate with people as a team, that's important.
Right.
And so versus if you're a solo owner. So working well with others and having contingency plans. And
I think what you said there was insightful when you said that you also have to learn to work with other people that don't work well with other people. And that's a soft skill that I can only imagine is extremely necessary in your day-to-day job or your day job. But
most people are nice. Most people are I'll call them normal people, and then you have others who are special, to say the least. And
Kevin, this has been awesome. Thank you for taking the time to come on today and share with us your journey in, growing up in a real estate family, and then of course launching out on your own and buying 79 units, and then how to scale as your general partnership, and then being involved, between your GP and your LP up to 4,000 units. That's absolutely incredible. Okay. If our listeners want to get in touch with you or learn more about you, what is the best way to do that?
Oh yeah, I can be reached at kevin@equitypledge.com. Just how it sounds, like you're pledging some equity. And that's how you can reach me. I guess you can also reach me on LinkedIn as well. So I'm not much of a social media person, but I'm trying to be. But yeah, email's the best way.
Fantastic. We'll make sure we include that there in the show notes. Kevin@equitypledge.com. Kevin, thank you again for coming on the show today. I certainly appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, Sam. Nice meeting you.
You as well, sir.